So millions of Americans just want a little bit more help. A little bit of help paying for groceries, a little bit of help paying for utilities, their medicine, right? Just putting food on the table, keeping a roof over their head. That's what millions of Americans want. And what has happened over the past few years is politicians and current lawmakers have been promising the world, have promised the moon, yet can't give us anything. Well, that changes. Because what we now know is that millions of people are about to receive the relief that they've been wanting and the stimulus that they've been promised. So I'll break that down in today's video. What's going on, how this is potentially going to impact you for the good and for the bad. We will address that. So all I ask is if you can spend just 2 seconds, go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy today's update, and let's get right down to it. So the first thing is President Biden. President Biden has promised the moon. He's promised people on Social Security, you can get an extra $2,400 per year. It's $200 more per month. He's promised people with student loans that they're going to receive student loan forgiveness of up to $10,000 or in some case $20,000. That's massive. He's promised lower income earners that anybody making less than $400,000 per year would not pay a penny more in taxes. Well, this is where things are now coming down to the wire. President Biden is trying to do what he can, not only to provide for the American people and fulfill the promises that he made, but this is the big one. We have a presidential election next year. And according to the majority of reports, President Biden is not looking all that great because of all the stuff that has gone on over the past few years. So here is the good news. The good news is for more than 804,000 borrowers, the lawsuit that was blocking President Biden's backup student loan forgiveness plan, this has been dismissed. Yes. So more than 804,000 student loan borrowers are about to see massive relief. They're about to see student loan forgiveness. Now I want to address this, okay? And I want to address this because of what is actually happening. So what is happening at this time is in this forgiveness plan, there's a one-time adjustment to the number of payments borrowers are credited for making. Okay? That's the big news. Now I'm going to scroll down. I will show you what exactly is going to happen. But this is massive. This is actually wiping out about $39 billion in student loans. Okay? Now, granted, we have millions and millions of borrowers. We have $1.6 trillion in student loan debt. So this isn't wiping out everything, but it is helping out a lot. Okay? So here's how this is going to be adjusted. Let me just show you this really quick because this is going to be part of the fight coming moving forward. It says right here, specifically accounts will be adjusted to reflect any months in any repayment status, regardless of the repayment plan the borrower was enrolled in or any other factors. Period of 12 or more months of forbearance or 36 or more months of total forbearance. Any months in hardship or military deferment. This has to be after 2013. Any months in any deferment, again, after 2013. Any time in repayment before loans were consolidated. Okay? Now, I want to read you this right here. Okay? For one thing, if you are having a difficult time fitting student loan repayments into your budget, the 12-month on-ramp effectively gives you until fall 2024 before you have to start making these payments. The SAVE plan could cut your required monthly payment in half on undergraduate loans, and these one-time adjustments to payment counts could mean your loans are years closer to being forgiven entirely. Now, what they are talking about here is in the SAVE plan, you have pretty much an on-ramp of 12 months. So as soon as the payments start in September, you have 12 months before you have to really make a payment before it affects your credit. So you're really not having to make a payment until the fall of 2024. Do you know what's in the fall of 2024? Yeah, it's a presidential election. Then the SAVE plan, it will cut your monthly payments in half, because instead of paying 10% of your disposable income, okay, or 10% of your income, that would be the maximum payment, you only have to pay 5%. Again, this is for undergraduate loans. So again, massive relief here. But, and I bring this up because now millions of people are being promised, or are actually given what they've been promised by the president. Now, I bring that up because one of the other things that President Biden promised is he promised he's going to work hand in hand with the Republican Party. He is the bipartisan president. Okay? Well, look at this. So it says, this is coming from Senator Chuck Schumer right here. He's the Senate Majority Leader. It says, government funding resolution agreement with McCarthy is a good sign. Now, what exactly are they talking about? Well, look at this. It says, we agreed to do a CR where you just extend the existing funding for a few months so we could work this out. And I thought that was a good sign. Now he's talking about the continuing resolution. That's what a CR is. So right now it says, current government funding is due to expire September 30th, with the fiscal year beginning October 1st, and no action to fund the federal government could trigger a shutdown. Now, just be very clear, I don't think we're going to see a government shutdown. I think both parties are wanting to get a deal done. However, a continuing resolution, okay, this is just it just continues the current funding for however many months. So a continuing resolution of additional 3 months will give us October, November, December, work something out in January, or before January. Well, if this happens, here's the thing. This is why all these discussions and the millions being promised to student loan carriers or borrowers. This is why this is such a big deal, because of what Congress is trying to do. Look at this. It says Congress must not hold hurricane funds hostage for more Ukraine war money. That's what's happening at this time. Right now, certain lawmakers are saying, how can I get my agenda passed? What can I do to get stuff for my constituents? Well, hold up funding for Maui. Hold up funding for Lahaina. Right? Hold up funding for any wildfire. Right? Just hold up funding. Now, as of right now, according to, let's see, let me pull this up. It says right here, okay? It says on August 24th, 1992, Hurricane Andrew struck the southern Florida coast with wind gusts reaching up to 177 miles per hour. The storm killed dozens, destroyed thousands of homes, caused more than $25 billion in damages. Right now, it is expected that's about $5.5 to maybe $7 billion in damages. However, the toll it's going to take on the economy is actually much bigger. So it also goes on to say, 2 days later, it hit the heart of Cajun country, my hometown in Lafayette, Louisiana, flooding my neighbors' homes and leaving many without roofs or power. As an 18-year-old Eagle Scout, I helped clear the wreckage. Listen to this. Okay? The White House has asked Congress for a supplemental funding bill that adds money to FEMA's depleted disaster relief fund. Just to give you an idea, lately, FEMA has, we've used FEMA funds for certain things, right? Because Congress just couldn't get the money. And so the White House would pull money from FEMA. We've also not funded FEMA like we probably should, especially with more wildfires, okay? But let's continue reading. The request will also include billions in new funding for military aid to Ukraine in its battle against Russia. The intent of the request is to put Republican politicians into a corner, forcing them to choose between their support for hurricane victims and their opposition to sending additional taxpayer money to Ukraine. How disgusting is that? And even though Democrats are they're trying to ask for an additional $23 billion for Ukraine, and pretty much putting that in the same bill as additional relief to FEMA to help fund the victims, of the of that disaster, that crisis over there in Maui, in Hawaii. That's sickening. But at the same time, that's something that's been done before. We see this happen all the time, where lawmakers have to go and vote on a bill that they absolutely want passed, but when other lawmakers attach another bill to it, like funding for Ukraine, attaching that to a bill for funding for Hawaii, then some Democrats will be like, well, let's say it's $10 billion to Hawaii, but it's $23 billion to Ukraine. Why? But if you really want to get that $10 billion to Hawaii, you got to vote on it. And that's what is happening right now. These people aren't representing the American people, right? Their representatives aren't representing the American people. Senators aren't representing the American people. They're providing more elsewhere. And we just have to vote on it, right? We just have to keep them in office so that we can continue to get this great service. Here's what I can tell you. Right now, we're getting to that point where certain lawmakers, they don't really know what their next agenda is going to be. Right now, all lawmakers should be back in their home districts. They should be talking to their constituents, figuring out what they want. Here's what I can tell you. Most people want to be looked after. Most people want additional relief if they are currently struggling. People on Social Security desperately need additional relief. They were promised $200 per month. I don't think they're ever going to get that, but could we come close? Could we cut other expenses? Because the Biden administration, that is what they're trying to do. Instead of increasing funds, increasing your benefits, what they're actually doing is trying to work out a deal where they can negotiate drug prices. And by saving money there, they're pretty much saying that, well, hey, we saved you money. We saved you $200 per month. So essentially it's the same thing, whether we gave you $200 extra or just didn't charge you $200 for this other thing. So even though right now the student loan forgiveness plan, the SAVE Act, even though it's moving forward, I can tell you right now that the Biden administration is not yet done with additional stimulus and relief. They have to do more, especially within this next year. And as soon as we get updates as to what they plan to do, how they plan to do it, and if it will impact you, I promise I'll come back on and I'll share all the latest news and updates. But as of right now, that is what we know. So again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.